From 2020 till now, the word nostalgia has been thrown around a lot. It has really taken over people's lives, and as the world has people making aesthetics about themselves, it has really caused people to make it their whole personality. Naturally, fashion choices come in and out, and in the last 2 years, wrestling t-shirts have been in. All of a sudden, everyone was watching WWE in the Ruthless Aggression era or in the Attitude era. And you know 99% of people aren't even watching wrestling. For the people that do, here are 100 nostalgic things about WWE to make your inner child smile. Number 1, these Superstar 7-Eleven cups. In the early 2010s, bro, I used to collect these. Me and my brothers, we would go to the 7-Eleven from across my house, and I kept that John Cena cup for at least 5 years. Before you start commenting, ooh, that's dirty, we cleaned them. Skin fade Randy Orton. This has been a topic of discussion as of late on how good this version of Randy Orton truly really was. My man was not about the talking, he was about it, and anyone who tried to test him found out. Stephanie McMahon, boom. Shane McMahon, boom. Vince McMahon, boom. Triple H, boom. Kofi Kingston, boom, boom, boom. I love you, Kofi. John Cena, boom. The AEW media scrum guy, boom. Like, he has been labeled, he was a menace. Number 3, this Sheamus song. The Big Show's song intro. Booker T on commentary. Oh, shucky ducky quack quack. I like how we all shouldn't know what that means, but we absolutely know what that means. Also, the way he says D-Bry. If you think you were riding along with Daniel Bryan for a long time, nah. Look at my man Booker. In 2011 and 2012, he was calling it that D-Bry was that guy. Spinner-roonies. Speaking of Booker, I miss seeing the Spinner-roonies, and the superstars trying them. Today we're lucky to see a superstar attempt to twerk. Evil Edge. Bro, everyone hated him as a kid with great reason. He just was slimy and somehow became a part of everyone's childhood because of it. We all just lived the same childhood, huh? I just saw something the other day that even Cardi B loved Edge and Lita, and she's 30. I am 19. How did this happen? The camera quality back then. This is literally if nostalgia was a picture. The old school quality with pixels all over your brick of a TV in the winter with the Ruthless Aggression era logo on the bottom and the cameras flashing, taking pictures of matches. Nostalgia at its finest. Batista's first world championship run. This Batista babyface world championship run was awesome. It doesn't get talked about enough as the one true babyface run Batista had in WWE. From here, he was a great heel in 2010 and became Blue-tista and waved off the crowd to turn into Drax. The Great Khali squishing Rey Mysterio's head. To this day, how did they fake this? This had kids all over terrified. The Nexus. My first memory of watching wrestling was in 2010. And I remember seeing the Nexus attack John Cena in a replay. And I also remember the Miz, but the Miz is still around. But the Nexus, man, their run was short-lived, and thank goodness. Because if John Cena would have joined, I don't know that my 6-year-old mind would have liked that, or honestly, my 19-year-old mind. Justin Gabriel. I know he is a part of Nexus, but I just remember this guy being amazing at flips in his solo run, and where is he now? I haven't heard about him in a very long time. The Authority. Who would have thought when it was happening, but this is one of my favorite storylines ever. I loved it. Everything from the Seth Rollins breakout to the Randy Orton middle finger turn to a cinder block curb stomp on Dean Ambrose to the Survivor Series 2014 match where Dolph Ziggler got over. I miss the Authority. Would I bring them back? Probably not, but a reunion would be cool. Ric Flair wrestling in WWE. The gold robe on Ric Flair just has a spot in my mind. I think it was from a video game or something, but Ric Flair wrestling in WWE in his mid-50s was wild in hindsight. He had no business being as good as he was, and given those huge back body drops, which were so satisfying to watch. What do you say, Rick? One more match in WWE? WCW Thunder. I wasn't even alive for WCW, but something about this logo and the vibe of Glazier being there makes it so nostalgic. The SmackDown 5th stage. This stage is John Cena, Big Show, Edge, Rey Mysterio, JBL, The Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar, and Chavo Guerrero all in one. Just fantastic matches and character development that set the wrestling foundation in our childhoods. Just magic created. WWE PS2 video games. Any of these would be great to play at any time during our childhood. It didn't matter if it was by yourself, you had a great time playing with the computer. If it was with your sibling or friend, you had a great time playing with them. It is probably us being kids, but damn, these games even today were just so well made and fun. My personal favorite one is one that most people don't tend to pick. It was SmackDown vs. Raw 2005, the one with Vince's face on it. It was the first one I played and I absolutely love the creator wrestler feature. Signs. Yeah, a nostalgic thing today is signs. Just look at how many people used to bring signs. If the crowd is full of signs, you know it's old wrestling. But why don't people bring nearly as many signs? I understand WWE has decreased in popularity, but still, are people just not allowed to bring as many signs or something? Eugene. This character is nostalgic because Literally, if it happened today, WWE would be taken off the air. The core. Bro, if Nexus gave you nostalgia, the core is definitely a memory deep rooted in your pro wrestling mind. You probably haven't thought about this stable for over a decade. No one ever brings it up. WWE action figures. Getting loose bundles of figures in bulk at garage sales or thrift stores, at least for me, man, at least half the wrestlers I didn't even know back then. But these were so fun just to have. I don't even know what I would do with them half the time because I really wasn't the kid to just sit there and play with toys. But just having them was so fun. Hearing Christian ask for one more match. I recently made a video talking about Christian. Go check it out. He is doing the best heel work of his career. But if you're watching WWE in the early 2010s, then you know that every single week he would come out on SmackDown and ask for one more match. I mean, it's hard to blame him. He lost the world championship. He had finally won after like 20 years in a matter of days. This Raw intro. Vicky Guerrero yelling, "Excuse me!" How did the wife of one of the most beloved superstars ever become such a hated and despicable heel? When you heard this, you just heard the rain of boos. She did get recognized for it though. Even my mom knows who Vicky Guerrero is, the girl that yells, "Excuse me!" And she only knows the two wrestlers, John Cena and The Rock. This SmackDown intro. NXT games. Man, this feels like another lifetime by this point. Did this really happen? The women's championship design. This design was right from the absolute jump. If they didn't change anything and kept it throughout until now, it still wouldn't be out of place and would still give prestige to the women's division. Twin magic. Something about seeing the twins switch places as a kid was so genius, yet so simple. Dolph Ziggler being a young prospect. From the Spirit Squad to the I am perfection gimmick with Vicky Guerrero, to the time he looked like Cody Rhodes, and now Cody Rhodes kind of looks like him. To the Money in the Bank cash-in in 2013, Dolph Ziggler was always a hot prospect and ready to break out. And now, he's a grizzled young veteran that gets paid a lot, but isn't around much. The Funkadactyls. This gimmick was doomed from the start, but it doesn't mean that we don't remember Brodus, Cameron, and Naomi all coming out and dancing. Oh yeah, Xavier Woods was with them sometimes too, under that disco light. Total Divas the first season. Who misses when this show first came out in 2013? Especially back then, this was crazy to see. This is how I found out John Cena had a girlfriend and Daniel Bryan was dating her sister. This took the world by storm. People shit John Cena and his girlfriend, but my boy Daniel Bryan, let's just say my boy was getting done dirty. Who remembers the rules of John Cena's household? Who would have thought an invisible person being so dominant and firm when there's nobody even there? The Umaga versus John Cena rivalry. Everyone is always reminiscent about the great Edge versus John Cena rivalry. But this one, man, it's right up there with it. The last man standing match at Royal Rumble is one of my favorites of all time. Even their bout at New Year's Revolution. I recently watched it where it took place in my hometown of KC. But that match is underrated, and Umaga should really get inducted into the Hall of Fame because the way this man portrayed his character was next level. His mannerisms, explosiveness, and just aura gave off a legit monster heel. Kofi Kingston's Royal Rumble match saves. These moments made Kofi Kingston a bigger legend than he already is. I always look forward to seeing Kofi in the Rumble. I just really want to see him win one, and seeing him botch that last Rumble save was heartbreaking. Our childhood legends are getting older, man. Seeing Kane as a mid-carder. Kane always, I felt, added so much to the mid-card. Susan G. Komen. When WWE would wear pink in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it gave me a feeling that the time of year was coming. It was time for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Not to mention what they were doing was also dope and for a great cause. I wonder what happened to it and why they stopped. Brad Maddox. This guy looked like he could be a big player heel. I remember when he cost Ryback the WWE Championship and then he came out with Angel Wings, he was generating a lot of heat. Last I remember, he had a YouTube channel that showed him stuck in a cave, and I recently saw something that he was featured on a dating website. The King of the Ring set design. This is one of the most underrated set designs. When I see it, I think about Rob Van Dam and Brock Lesnar. Shawn Michaels red leather pants. These pants put on so many 5-star matches, and that Shelton Benjamin sweet chin music. Cody Rhodes' old theme song. Adrenaline in my soul, every thought out of control. Now, I'll use any reason to sing that song, but let's not forget about how classic this banger was back in the day. Kurt Angle with hair. Anytime I see a picture of Kurt Angle with hair, a little bit of nostalgia appears. Simon Dean. This character, man, is a lost moment in time. You really gotta go to the depths of the ruthless aggression to find this guy's training program. Old school WWE t-shirts. Like I said in the start of this video, these are in right now for the nostalgia and with great reason. These were sick, man. Straight fire, and if you get one today, a lot of these go for a lot of money. There's something about this era and the way they designed their clothes along with the fit of it. Seeing Kane and Big Show be a tag team randomly. These two kept tagging on and off. I always felt like a great dominant tag team run between the two would have been something cool, similar to the one they had in 2005 but longer. Kane and Undertaker using powers. This as a kid was mind blowing because how did they do the effects, or did they actually have powers? How did they get out of the buried alive matches if they lost, or how did Undertaker appear in the ring in seconds? Paul Bearer. Oh yes, my Undertaker. This guy was even more creepy than the last two. WWE commercials. The Chef Boyardee commercials make that look so good, so delicious. I don't know if it's good or not, but I mean, it's in a can. I don't know how good it really would be. WWE were amazing at these commercials, and anytime I see The Rock walking through the building and throwing a guy off, it makes me happy. I also found this Sting commercial, the John Cena and The Rock rivalry. I don't know that to this day there has been a bigger rivalry. I was Team Cena all the way, and my brother was Team Rock. The promos where John Cena owned The Rock, and Dwayne would make fun of John Cena, call him a big fat bowl of fruity pebbles. Cena going off script, them nearly actually coming to blows backstage. It was real. The Rock making fun of Vicky Guerrero somewhere in there. WWE All-Stars. Bringing this game back. Part 2 got canceled, and I don't think anybody wanted that. The moves in this game were so satisfying, and it was something different and new. I know Battlegrounds was created, but I don't know, I haven't played it, and I think people just want All-Stars too. Eden Styles. Brandy Rhodes being a ring announcer seemed right. It felt like a fit, but everybody saw her turn into chief brand officer. What a come up. Tough enough. In 2011, this came back, and it saw people roller skating, and in 2015, it saw people have alligators as pets. Another season, another banger. So I say bring back Tough Enough for 2022. The Hurricane. He really beat The Rock twice in 2003. The promos and chemistry between these two is underrated, and Hurricane along with Rosie aren't cited enough as people that had comedy characters and turned themselves into something. These guys were fan favorites, and the Hurricane is a great character. I just want to see the Hurricane versus R-Truth. Chris Masters, Masterlock. Only OGs remember watching Masterlock challenges on YouTube. Bobby Lashley breaks the Masterlock. I heard Chris Masters wants to make a return. That would be cool to see. Carlito. Speaking of his tag team partner, Carlito is Jack now. And anytime I think of him, I think of the Intercontinental Championship run he had and the fact that he spit apples in people's faces. The first Elimination Chamber. Michaels winning this is a great moment in my mind, and I wasn't even born yet. But the match itself really did a good job at showcasing what the Elimination Chamber is. Kane and Rob Van Dam as a tag team. I don't remember anything about this tag team besides the fact that Kane unmasked himself and attacked Rob Van Dam. During this time though, Kane became a badass. Early WWE studio movies. The Marina Chaperone 12 rounds, all classics. Keith Slater. Much like the Hurricane, this guy made everything work. 3MB and the I Got Kids gimmick, he made it all work. Triple H overselling moves. This clip shows one of the best sides of Triple H. His sense of humor. Kid interrupts Batista backstage. If you didn't watch this video at least once as a kid, are you really a wrestling fan? Was this a work? I still don't know, honestly. The reaction from Batista seems genuine, but the scene seemed like it was planned. There is a comment that sums up my thoughts. It says, something tells me while this was scripted, they didn't tell Batista about it, so his reaction was genuine. Locker room brawls. Whether it was a video game or in real life, locker room brawls were not out of the ordinary to see. But when you did, you knew it was going to be some heat. Cena and Guerrero, or that brawl and shut your mouth where you could go up to the Times Square. This SmackDown logo. Something about it just screams mid-2000s. Your parents just came home from the casino and you and your brother stayed home watching reruns of SmackDown, drinking Sprite and eating snacks. The Dudleys versus the Hardys versus Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian were by far the best, and their singles careers prove it. But these matches hold up today. With the involvement of Rhino, Lita, and Spike Dudley, it was a lot of characters together and it just worked. ECW. Literally anything with ECW feels nostalgic. The camera quality, the carnage, the blood and crazy spots, the grunge feeling to just a whole show. If you ever want to create a wrestling aesthetic, get some ECW footage, because man, every time I watch anything from ECW, I feel like I'm at a place on a random Saturday you're not supposed to be at, but it's on the down low where you just enjoy what you're watching. It has an eeriness to it. No holds barred. This movie screams Rocky. Anything with Hollywood Hulk Hogan. This man was just as big a part of a 90s kid's life as Michael Jordan was. The black and white, the NWO, and the spray paint, he was just cool. Nintendo 64 WWE/WCW games. These are rumored to be some of the best wrestling games in WWE history. I say rumored because I've never played them. I have played Mario 64 though, and that was fantastic. The cartridges just bring back so much nostalgia. This really does feel like a different lifetime when I was playing. I was probably like 4 or 5, and it was one of my first memories ever. Seeing Ric Flair bloody, the way his hair would get, it looked like noodles dipped in salsa, but it did always intensify the matches. Except for maybe that recent one he had, but maybe it actually intensified that one the most. People were thinking he was legit gonna die. Michelle McCool's theme. Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle did a lot in his career. For being a little leprechaun, he was a CEO's son by birth already. He joined DX. He was Cruiserweight champ, and he was Finley's son. He did pretty good for himself. This picture of Golden Era WWE. Chavo Guerrero coming out every 6 months to compete on SmackDown. Seriously, I don't know what was going on during this time, but Chavo every 6 months would come out and all I hear is, ooh, Chavo. And he would wrestle a lot of times, lose, and then come back every 6 months and do it all over again. Speaking of Kerwin White. Yes, this is an underrated character, probably for the white reason. This character was something. WWE YouTube videos. You are currently watching WWE on YouTube, and if you have been since you were a kid, depending on when you were born, you remember videos like Kane sets cameraman on fire, Ghost Scene in WWE, John Cena funny moments, and WWE rehearsals. Proof WWE is fake. This one is like the last one, but it deserved a whole category of its own. Bro, what were people trying to accomplish? Was it the views, the money? Was monetization even the thing back then? What do you gain from that? Second grade me would watch these videos over and over again, which now that I'm saying it, it makes sense why they would upload it. Wanting to know if it was fake or not. I really wanted it not to be fake. I would rewatch Batista botching the hit by Mark Henry over and over again to see if there was an explanation for this. It makes me wonder if kids today still question if wrestling is real, or are there 8-year-old smarks in the world? John Cena prank call. Super Slam. Absolutely legendary. Is what The Undertaker said he was gonna be when he takes on John Cena, Triple H, R-Truth, Alberto Del Rio, and Bray Wyatt for the World Heavyweight title at this Saturday Super Slam. The McMahons versus DX storyline. This match in Hell in a Cell saw Mr. McMahon get his face shoved the Big Show's candy ass. Also, the imitation DX did on the McMahons was something I was imitating at 8 years old, which I probably shouldn't have been, but it was funny as f. The Spinner Championship. Am I the first YouTuber to call the Spinner Championship nostalgic? I haven't heard anyone else do it because most people hate it, but as someone that grew up with that belt, I love it. The spinning belt was swag, and I don't care what people say, it didn't diminish the value of it. If anything, it made the champ look way cooler, and when I see it, it brings back memories to John Cena's rap album and all the different reigns people had with it. John Cena's rap album. A video that keeps popping up in my recommendations is John Cena's Bizarre Rap Fame. And if you watch a good amount of wrestling on YouTube, chances are you have seen it too. People are starting to cover this because it was really a genuinely good album, and Cena was genuinely a good rapper. This album I still listen to today, and since it was released in 2005, it has that feel to it, that 50 Cent feel to it, where you can turn up to it, enjoy the flow, and bring out that inner gangster in you if you have that in you. Vince McMahon's death. When Vince's limo blew up, everyone tripped. I still wonder to this day what would have happened if the storyline actually continued on TV. Teddy Long. Anything Teddy Long did seemed genuine. He is just one of those innocent people that somehow got to the top and just doesn't really care too much about anything. He's just chill. So when he came out and he did his little dance and he had that little theme, you just got hyped. He would make 6-man tags and put people, mostly heels, in matches with The Undertaker. Player, player, holla, holla. Eric Bischoff's theme. Steve Austin when he would stun people for no reason. This still happens from time to time, but Steve used to do it a lot more often. At one point, even stunning the whole McMahon family with that Linda McMahon stunner. Lillian Garcia announcing. Her announcing is underrated, and she was the voice of a lot of big moments in WWE, including that 9/11 tribute. Tony Chimmel's announcing. The Highlanders. The Highlanders have been gone from the WWE for years, but if you remember them, I bet you this brought back some sort of nostalgia. Yeesh. Johnny Nitro's intro. With Melina coming out with him, it really doesn't get more 2007 than that. The Spirit Squad. We're on tag teams right now, and talk about a group that should get inducted into the Hall of Fame. The Spirit Squad were fun to watch. They were athletic and actually had an appearance like 5 years ago on SmackDown again. If you ever were afraid of the monsters that are Big Show and Kane, just remember, they lost their tag team championships to the Spirit Squad. I mean, it was 5-on-2. Kofi Kingston's Jamaican accent. I don't know what Kofi was on during this time, but he was buff. I like to see Kofi in the New Day, but this gimmick had a lot of juice and really was one of the more complete gimmicks on the roster at the time. I think he could have been world champion around this time with this gimmick. Luckily, he at least ended up winning it with the New Day. So WWE and KMART. If you were a kid during the 2000s and 2010s, you know how lit this collab was. Before Gucci x Dior and Louis Vuitton x Balenciaga, there was WWE x KMART, and they had exclusive figures, which if I'm being honest, I never bought, but the shirts they would sell, I remember for Christmas, I got a John Cena long sleeve. I'll put a picture of it if I find it. The store had John Cena's face all over it, and I just remember copying WWE 2013 here for my birthday. Sin Cara. When Sin Cara debuted on WWE TV, I thought he was related to Rey Mysterio because he has a similar attire to him. He was even taller though, and at the time, I thought his moves just looked so cool. I thought Sin Cara was bound to be a main event player. He even had his own light, and he would get all in all a very special treatment from WWE. Like, he was a big deal. I thought Sin Cara as WWE champion was only a matter of time. It's kind of wild looking back on how cool he was and how it ended up playing out, but apparently he messed up a lot and also had a language barrier. NXT TAKEOVER'S on Saturday night. When this was only a few years ago and you feel nostalgic about it, you know it was good. I'm talking original NXT. Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano, Velveteen Dream, even if he did what he did, and Tommaso Ciampa. Those type of guys. When it was a pay-per-view weekend, specifically one of those big ones, sometimes we look forward to Saturday more than Sunday. These matches were next level. KHARMA vignettes. I don't know if I'm the only one that remembers these, but I'm sure I at least unlocked a deep-rooted memory in one of your guys' brains. Ahmed Johnson. This guy literally is nostalgia. When I think of him, I strictly think of the golden era WWE or the Attitude Era, as he wasn't even around for any of the other eras. JBL's WWE title run. This title run was one of the most important ones for kids during the Ruthless Aggression era. This thing felt so long and it felt like so much happened during this time. From Bradshaw turning into JBL, to Eddie Guerrero losing his championship, and John Cena winning it, ushering in a new era. Randy Orton's Burn in My Light theme song. The heavy metal songs WWE used for everything. They used to love playing heavy metal songs for pay-per-views and video games. When Edge hit Ric Flair with the concerto. How did they even fake these? This one especially looked brutal, with Ric Flair having that ramen noodles dipped in salsa look where he just bled everywhere like a madman. Christian's old version of his theme. Tajiri. The Green Mist was always cool and a sight to see from him. He has an underrated legacy. Sheamus debuting and getting pushed to the moon. When he debuted, he made a bold statement. Seeing a young Sheamus beat John Cena clean in a tables match to win the WWE Championship brings back some nostalgia. Pay-per-views being $44.95. Compared to today, that's a lot of money. I remember my mom never wanting to buy a pay-per-view for me and my brother as kids. I mean, $44.95 is pretty overpriced for a pay-per-view. I actually didn't watch a pay-per-view live until the WWE Network came out in 2014. Undertaker beating A-Train and The Big Show on the same night. I remember hearing this and thinking this statistic was so impressive. Taboo Tuesday. This concept today would probably work best. I'm surprised WWE hasn't brought it back yet. This was a pretty cool concept where the fans felt like they had a big part in the outcome of the shows. Playing WWE video games on the Wii. If you didn't do this once, you missed out. I remember thinking that WWE on the Wii meant that you and your brother would actually wrestle in real life, but it actually meant you just get a slightly different version of the Xbox 360 game and swipe right with your controller to do an animation. Woo, over 100, baby. Damn, that was a lot of nostalgia. I hope I brought you guys at least one good memory or a little bit of nostalgia from your pro wrestling childhood. That was the goal of this video. Honestly, guys, I really enjoyed making this video. Subscribe, like, comment, do anything that you know will make my channel popping. Peace!